and welcome to Out and About Art, your PGTV source for all things art in Polk County. I'm your host, Yasmin Ali. Have you ever been to the circus? If you're intrigued by clowns, animals, trapeze artists, or vibrant history, then you might want to pay a visit to the latest exhibit at the Outer Space Gallery in Winter Haven. Circus features a collection of 17 paintings by the talented Carol Hughes, who dedicated her first gallery show to her late father. Check this out to learn more about the exhibit and the thought process behind Carol's works of art.
Well, I'm Carol Hughes. I'm from Lakeland, so I'm a local artist. I've worked with the Arts Ensemble for 6 years with Jane Waters, and I've just been developing my craft over that 6 years. And she asked me to do a circus show about a year ago because The Greatest Showman movie came out and there was a lot of interest out in the world again in the circus. And this area is just ripe with tradition of circus. Barnum and Bailey and Ringling, they all used to winter around this area. And then of course there's the Ringling Museum and College down in Sarasota. So we have a big tradition of it. I like a challenge, and once I've done something, I'm always eager to try something else, and I hadn't done a circus. All I'd ever done was I did draw a clown once, and I'm kind of scared of them, so it's not something that I would sit there and just draw clown after clown. So when she asked me to do a circus, I thought, why not? I started looking up old photos and images on Google. And there's some people around the area that have almost like their own little private museum of history. And so I went and visited their homes and took some photos, and I really got into the research on it. It took me a year. I mean, I didn't just sit there and paint the whole year, but I'd research one painting, come up with a design in my head and paint it before I went on to the next. So it's not like I laid out the whole show at first and then worked on it. I knew I had 5 big canvases, and then I needed to have some medium-sized ones and some small ones, so that's where I started. But it was a natural for me to start with an elephant because of what Jane had done some years ago here in Eloise. She had just wowed the neighborhood by bringing a live elephant into town. And so, I don't know, I just always think of elephants with circuses. Well, the same challenge I had with painting small is painting bigger than I'm used to. And so it seemed like it would take forever to cover the canvas. But once I got the canvas covered and then started working on the details, it got to be a lot of fun. Well, to hold the paintings together, you need something to kind of tie the big ones, and someone suggested bubbles. And that's how on the small paintings I drew just bubbles on those. Well then, just saw these little circles at Joann's Fabrics, these little mirrors. And it just seemed like a great idea to paint those and tie them in. Well, you'll notice that a couple of my paintings have Ferris wheels in it, and I think the midway was the part that I probably enjoyed the most. And then the animals. And so the elephants have always fascinated me. I remember at a real early age doing the elephant ride over in Lakeland in one of the shopping center's parking lots. So it's just growing up with that kind of closeness to the circus has made it fun for me. I've never done a show with a collective theme like this, and I wasn't sure if what I pulled together would fit together, but I think it did. I think it's interesting that when we had the reception last week, that people were really drawn to what I call the freak show section. And I was a little hesitant about that with everybody being so correct these days. But that was really fascinating to pull together as a sub-show outside the circus. I researched each one of these amazing humans, and each one is an actual person that was well known during their time. In fact, I met someone at the reception who had actually seen the dog boy in person. And it's fascinating to read the histories of them, as well as just capturing their personality, not just their looks, but their personality was fun. got sick, and as part of my recovery or rehab time, actually Jane Waters suggested I paint with Richard Powers, and he's one of the artists here, a great artist here at Arts Ensemble. And so working with him, I started to develop an appreciation and then a style with art. So that's when I started painting, and I found that I couldn't put the passion and energy into my work that I had been doing, so I retired early and now I do this. Well, I do classes all the time with people who walk in, they spend the first 10 minutes of class telling me how they couldn't draw a stick figure if you made them. And by the end of the class, I'm not saying they do a Rembrandt, but by the end of the class they realize that maybe they were a little quick to say that they do have some talent inside. So that's always fun to find in someone. I think most people want to feel like they can do something perfectly as soon as possible. And with art, it's right there. I mean, you know, what you did is right there for everybody to see. So they're a little afraid to try it because they're afraid of what someone else is going to say. One night I was painting and I was a little upset that I was having to be at a place where I was. So I decided to paint my feelings away. What I ended up with was a sandhill crane that was really angry looking. And I started to realize that my style involved emotional content and impressionism versus realistic. I think the one I like the most is called The Midway. And there's a young girl in the front, and she looks like there's kind of a mystery going on, whether she's looking for someone or trying to sneak away, who knows. I think I like that one though, it was a lot of fun to paint. I want them to take long enough to walk and look at the paintings and just see how much they can see in each one, because there's the larger image and then there's smaller stories in each one. And that's the fun of painting a large show. I've never painted a large canvas like these before. And I found I kind of got into forming stories in my head looking at them, so I hope the other folks do too. Why not take an evening to give your mind a little bit of an adventure at the same time relaxing? It's hard to replace the circus with what we have going on these days. I mean, you can go to amusement parks, you can go see entertainment, even Cirque du Soleil is kind of a circus, but I don't know, it's just a lot of raw energy, a lot of colors, a lot of just amazing creatures and people were part of the circus, and I don't think you find that anywhere else. Well, it was a thrill for me to be able to acknowledge my dad in the show. He was a local artist of his own right years ago, and he painted in watercolors. He never showed me how to do it, but I always admired his artwork. And I know he'd be tickled about this show because he never had like a one-man show. But he'd compete with other artists in the area and he'd fuss when he didn't win. So for him to see his daughter have a show, I'm sure he's grinning.
To keep up with all current and future exhibits at the Arts Ensemble Downtown Studio and Outer Space Gallery, follow them online by visiting www.artsensemble.org. Next up is our latest artist spotlight. Brannan Lawson is an art teacher at Hillcrest Elementary who is passionate about creativity. Her various works of art include acrylic paintings, drawings, and even jewelry. I got the chance to chat with her about her art style, process, and how she finds the inspiration and determination to create something new every day.
My name is Brannan Lawson, and I like to, there's not one medium I like to do. I actually paint with acrylics, but I also love drawing with pencil and pen and watercolor. I make jewelry. I like to sew, so mostly I paint with acrylic, but I do dabble in a little bit of everything. The first time, well, I've kind of drawn. I took lessons from Kathy Futrell as I grew up, and Connie Christoph was my art teacher at my elementary. So, you know, as a child, I loved to draw, but mainly when I started painting is when my daughter was about 2. So that was 2013. I think I finally started noticing that she loved to draw and paint. So I slowly started doing it every day. And 2015, I made a promise to paint or draw every single day. And my goal was to get into the Lake Wales Art Show and have a booth to sell my art. So I did a lot of painting and drawing, and a lot of things I loved, a lot of things I didn't love. So that whole year, my goal was every day. If I did a little bit, if I did a lot. But so mainly around 2013, I started doing it every day. It's funny, every time someone met me, they said, "Oh, what kind of art do you do?" And because my excuse was, I do it every day, so by the time I get home, I'm exhausted. But when my daughter started saying, "Let's draw," I found it very soothing and kind of relaxing in the afternoon, because she didn't expect me to do some big painting. It was just a little book here. I used a lot of kind of drawing books that would give you prompts, or, you know, here's a page, replicate it on this page. So I started off really small, nothing huge, and so that wasn't very stressful to do it every day when it was just this little bit. Now when I started going to more painting, it was very hard first to find my style and trying to see where I could fit in. You know, on Instagram and Facebook, you see all these beautiful paintings and things, and I wanted to do them all. But to take the time and to really realize I had to find my own way, that was kind of stressful, because a painting a day is not hard. So if I could fit it in the morning, I would start a little bit, take it to school. I'd pack up a whole stack of paints and walk it to school, and anytime I had a cleaning period, I'd throw a couple, you know, splatters here and there, and then I'd bring it home and finish it. So that was really hard, but I feel like that's where I really kind of found myself, was being able to take those little pieces every day and finally see, okay, I don't like that, I like this, I don't like that color, I like this color. So it was easy at the beginning, when I only made the dedication of, okay, this is the medium I want to take on. That's when I did have to pick up my pace. But I think that whole year of doing it was what I needed, and then I kind of backed off. So that way I didn't continue that fast pace, because I think once I picked up my rhythm and my style, it wasn't like I was searching. I had kind of found it, and it was much easier to start a little bit one day and then come back to it a couple days later or a week later if I had to, and not feel like I'd lost my rhythm. I usually don't think the first few layers. It's just kind of, you know, more color, not even color combinations. I'm not even thinking about that. I'm just kind of putting my favorite colors on there, splattering and making a mess, just making sure I don't make too big a mess. Once that layer is done and dry, the next layer is kind of more of balance and perspective, and kind of, do I want this face or that face? And then once I get that down, color combinations, and I really don't know. I kind of turn music on and just kind of go for it. I don't try to think too much, because I feel like if I think too much, then I'm worrying about, oh, that didn't, why did I put that there? Why did I put that there? So I just kind of turn music on and just kind of keep moving. Instagram, I mean, there's so many people I follow on there that paint flowers, and I did start taking a lot of online classes. So they had like prompts they had to do. Sometimes I would see colors. I've kind of learned how to take, I would take pictures of my kids and see colors and combinations, or clothing, or textures, or patterns. I just would look around me. But Instagram is one thing that I feel like was such an inspiration, because I saw all these artists creating these things that I wanted to do. And it just kind of inspired me to use that color, or use that flower, or use that vase, or, you know, little bits in here to create my own. But just kind of every little thing that I saw around me. It's made me just look at things in a different perspective. Like, you know, not just, oh, there's the sky, but look at the colors of the sky. I mean, look how they blend together. Look how, you know, it's orange over there and pink over there. And I think just being able to look at things and either want to recreate it in my own way, or just looking at it as in a color combination, a pattern, in a texture, and how to bring that into my own art. But it's definitely, it brightens my day. And the fun thing about sharing it with kids and being able to, for them to see how it excites me, and I hope that I kind of, you know, spill that into their day as being able to like it also. but just being able to see things in a new light and being able to look at it and want to make it. I think participating in art from the elementary age teacher, I think there's so many kids out there that excel in so many things, but then I feel like in the art room, within my art room, I try to make them understand creativity is everywhere. It doesn't have to be in art. It can be in your garden. It could be the way you decorate your room. It could be in so many other ways. So trying to show that the art is important because it just helps us kind of relax. I mean, it's a way to kind of unwind. I am all for, I know that many of the people I mentioned that I follow, I have pieces of the art. I love buying other people's art, and mainly I think supporting local artists, if you're an artist, is a way to study the art. I got another piece today from one of my favorite artists, and I just look at it and soak it in, the lines, the texture, the color, trying to see how I can implement it in my own. But I just think art's important because it allows people to connect in different ways. And like I said, it does not have to be paint on paper or pencil. It can be all different types of creativity that people use within the community.
If you enjoyed Brannan's artwork and would like to follow her online, find her on Facebook by searching for Lawson Art Barn Studio. She also has an Etsy page where you can find more of her work. Finally, we're celebrating the Bartow Adult Concert Band, a Polk County institution that was formed over 20 years ago. The band is completely volunteer-based and holds several concerts a year at the Bartow Civic Center. Check this out to learn about the history of the band, what it means to their members, and to listen to some music from their latest show.
Many years ago, I would say early 90s, 1990s, when John DeYoung had retired from teaching at Bartow High School, he was asked by the Bartow I believe it's Parks and Rec Department, to put together a band to give a 4th of July concert. And make a long story short, from that beginning, the band has grown over the years and ended up having a concert series beginning in November of each year through April, with monthly concerts free to the public at the Bartow Civic Center. That's basically how it started, and John and his wife Jo continued conducting and administrating that band for 25, 26 years, I guess. And then he decided 3 years ago, make it 4 years ago, that it was time to retire and give it to someone else. I was asked if I would do that. I'm a retired high school director that's been in the county for a number of years, so I've known John, I've knew the band, and that's pretty much in a nutshell how it started, and it's continuing. We have great audiences every month for our concerts. We have roughly 55 members, 50 to 55, not too much over that. The stage at the Bartow Civic Center is rather restrictive, so we can't grow a whole lot to have room for the members at our concerts. But we have a very good instrumentation, a balanced instrumentation, I think, and we have a number of winter visitors that come down, usually make the December concert and maybe go home in April from up north, Minnesota, Ohio, the Northeast. We probably have a half dozen or 8 that are in that. We have a lot of retired music teachers, band directors and elementary music teachers that play in the band. And then we have folks that they enjoy playing their instrument. They've continued to keep that up, keep the skills up, even in later years, 50, 60 years old. Some still have jobs. There's such a mixture with our band. It's truly an adult band, though. We don't have high school students that play in the band. They're all adults or senior citizens in a lot of cases, but they're still able to play and they still enjoy playing. That's the main thing. Music's a lifelong joy to be able to make music together like that. And that's the fun of doing this, is seeing their faces and seeing what they're able to do, even at an elderly age, let's say.
So I played clarinet, a reed instrument, for a good part of my high school career. Played some percussion, also played saxophone. But when I was a rising junior, the tuba player graduated, and Mr. Caudle said, "Take the tuba, it's a sousaphone that for the school had. Take this home over the summer and learn how to play it." And so that's how I fell in love with the tuba, and that's true of many tuba players. Kind of had it thrust upon me, yes, but realized very quickly that I just dearly loved it. After picking it up again, after Mr. DeYoung started the adult band, for a year or two, I played a school horn, but then acquired my own instrument, and for many years, probably 12 or 15 years, I was a member of a brass quintet that I put together, and most of which were members of the group, and we played semi-professionally.
I play flute. I also play piccolo, but I really only play piccolo on the 4th of July concert for the Stars and Stripes, the piccolo part that everybody knows. So funny story, how I picked the flute. I actually grew up in Niagara Falls, so we started, their band program started in 5th grade in elementary school. And at the time, you know, we were kind of being introduced to all these different instruments, and I was very petite, very short for my age, and I naturally went for the absolute smallest instrument, which was a piccolo, and was told they didn't have that, but here's a flute, which is almost the same, and that is literally how I ended up playing flute. But you know, I love the instrument. I tried teaching myself to play oboe at one point, and a little bit more difficult than I thought it was going to be, but I love playing the flute.
People just like to hear live music, and they like to hear it done well. And that's, some of that is programming, and our director is very good at formatting a concert. So was Mr. DeYoung before him. And it's, in many respects, it's a feedback loop, because their affirmation encourages us and helps us to perform better. And it's a neat experience.
Being part of a musical group adds to your own musical life. You know, just playing by yourself is not the same. And I loved being part of this group during John's days. You know, just thinking back to when I first started here, there were some of us that were here in the beginning, and I remember those people having young kids and watching them grow up, you know, over the years, and now those kids are married, and you know, one of mine is now married, and to share all of that time with a group of people and to kind of share that part of your life with them over that length of time, you know, those are bonds that just never go away. So there's a lot of friendships that are built, you know, through music and through playing with a group like this.
It gives me an outlet for my avocation. I'm an engineer by profession, but this feeds the other side of my brain. And so it gives me a way to express that. One of the things that I like to always emphasize is that for students, middle school students, high school students, that learn a skill, learn an art of playing an instrument. And there are some phenomenal musicians that are products of the music program here in Polk County. In particular, the Bartow High School Band with John Ekman, outstanding musicians. But not all of them are going into music education or professional musicians. So the question always is, what am I going to do after I out after I graduate? How do I keep this up? Well, this is the way. And when John started the group, that's why it's called the Bartow Adult Concert Band, because it's a place for adults to play. Students have an outlet, but it's a way for those of us that have a love for music and learned to feed that, then a way to continue that as we grow older, and a way for us to turn off other parts of our life and the stresses there, and immerse ourselves into an art form.
These folks don't have to be at these rehearsals. They don't have to be part of the band. They're there because they want to be. So my frame of mind and my approach has got to be pretty much the same. In dealing with the band that way, I can't deal with the band like I might have discipline-wise or attendance-wise when I was teaching school. And it works out, because the main thing is those people are in the band. They choose to spend their Monday nights with us because they want to be there. They enjoy what we're doing. And I try to keep the atmosphere that way. We try very hard to present a real musically sound product, but at the same time, it's a give and take thing between myself and the players that are in the band. And I think the audience members appreciate that. They appreciate the fact that they know that the people on stage, they aren't getting paid, they're not professionals. They just want to be there. They want to make music, and they want to do it the best we can.
We're a part of the community, and it's not only important to support the people that are playing a part in your community, but it's just a great way to spend an afternoon. And we try to play fun music. And I think that's a lot of what John focused on in his years. He really tried to cater to the audience and tried to always play music that they would recognize, and they love that, all the show tunes, and everybody loves marches. What Phil has tried to do is, while he keeps that because we want to, play music our audience enjoys, we're also playing some more serious stuff, some more classic music that challenges us a little bit and maybe educates the audience a little bit. So maybe they get a little bit more than what they thought they would. There's just so much to learn about music, and sometimes it just takes someone hearing it for the first time to go, I love that, let me go listen to it again, and let me learn more about it, and let me listen to some other things that are similar. And then you get exposed to a whole bunch of other things that you may not have otherwise.
To keep up with all the latest information on the Bartow Adult Concert Band, you can follow them on Facebook. Their next concert will be held on Sunday, February 24th at 2:30 p.m. in the Bartow Civic Center. Well, that's all I have for this month, but there's always plenty going on within the Polk County art scene. Stay tuned for a list of art events in your area. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time for more art out and about.